Brittany Rizzo, and welcome to My Only Friends. This episode is one I'm really excited about because it was an absolute blast having this conversation. This episode, of course, reminds me of the one with the bullies because David's brother Peter was actually one of the bullies. That episode is a top 10 for me because Chandler's reactions without even speaking are incredible. In this episode, you'll take a trip down memory lane with us as we discuss all things Wizards, Gilmore Girls, and his upbringing with his father, Dom DeLuise. David was also very open about what he has overcome in his life, and I really admire him. We also talk about my newfound love for his comfort movie, Lord of the Rings. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did with David DeLuise.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
How are you?
I am awake.
What is going on?
Not, I mean, which answer do you want? The full one?
The honest one. The real one.
What is going on? Lots of stuff. Lots of things.
I don't know
which one is it? Is this going to be the one where my brother Peter was fighting over the couch, maybe?
Oh, gosh.
You know that, right?
Yes. I literally just watched that the other night.
How many times have you seen that episode?
They play that episode on TV a lot. And what's so funny is I knew that was your brother, but I didn't know that you had because I know one's on Gilmore Girls too. And then I was like, wait, that's not him, but they kind of look alike. I was like, he looks so different. And then it registered that you have two brothers.
Yeah, I have two older brothers. Peter was on, my oldest, who was on Friends, was on 21 Jump Street with the Johnny Depp. And then Michael was on Gilmore Girls, and he did a lot of Stephen Bochco shows. He was on NYPD Blue, and he's a good actor until he just decided to stop acting.
Oh, really? Wow.
It's big, right? He just had good investments and obviously this is what I gathered from it, but he just was done. He was like, I don't want to look, I kind of understand it because when I was coming up, you do a guest spot or a co-star, you get a part on a show. A day of work, it's very exciting stuff. And then, sorry, Tony wants to come up.
Hi.
Yeah,
Aw, he's so cute.
Yeah, he's a good one. So you work your ass off to get where you are, to get your quotes, to do this, to do that. And then, the business changed where there was, regardless of your status, regardless of the work that you'd put in and people knowing you and you being a series regular many times and all that stuff, they still wanted you to audition. And he was tired of auditioning, so I get that.
Yeah. I mean,
meaning at a certain point, it's like, I know, I don't know, maybe even super famous people are auditioning now. I mean, do you think that people on the television show Friends audition for things, or they just talk about it? Everybody knows their abilities, right?
Right. That's so interesting. Yeah, it's true. I can't imagine Jennifer Aniston's doing a self-tape tomorrow.
Right? Oh, that would be really funny. It would be a good sketch, right?
Right. That is a good sketch. But so you literally, your whole family is so talented.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, I told you I was watching all your dad's videos, and the video of him on Carson doing the egg trick, my cheeks literally hurt from laughing. I was like, that is so funny.
And spontaneous, it wasn't rehearsed. It was, and that just didn't happen. You weren't silly like that on, people were wearing ties and more proper and, and you also watch the Cannonball Run outtakes, right?
Yes. Which were so funny. His laugh is amazing.
Very infectious. Very.
What was it like growing up with so you grew up in the business, basically, you were surrounded by it a lot.
Yeah. And, when we were younger, we said to our dad, we wanted to be actors, and he said, well, you could always be actors. You could always get into this business, but you can only have a childhood once. So he really wanted us we went to public school, we did plays, we, had a video camera, which was very rare back then. We made our own home movies and scored them and did the props and, it was a good education in getting ready for the real world and also knowing other people's jobs, like how hard it is to find the right thing or we didn't have craft service. That's for sure.
When was like the first time like you saw, was it your dad or was it another movie or a show where you were like, I want to do this?
I think it was just more watching my dad and my mom. I mean, we would have Sunday gatherings and Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks, Anne Bancroft, Gene Wilder, Gilda Radner, the Merv Griffin, Norman Lear, Dick Van Dyke. My dad knew a lot of people in this business and Burt Reynolds, Ricardo Montalban, all these people were coming around, so that was fun. And that's what the topic was, like, what project are you doing? Obviously they're talking about life and different things, but I was just immersed in it and I didn't even know it, and they singing songs and performing and dancing and doing, you just join in,
Oh gosh, that had to be so fun.
I watched my dad there. I don't remember anything specific that was like, oh, I want to be an actor. Oh, maybe Ricky Schroeder. Do you know Ricky Schroeder? You know who that is? Oh my God. What? Who are you?
Maybe I'll look up a picture. Maybe I do.
He did a movie called The Champ, where he's about my age, but he was on NYPD Blue for a little while. He took over he was one of the characters on there.
Okay. He was on Silver Spoons.
Yeah. Yes.
Exactly. I only know of that show because of Jason Bateman.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. Jason Bateman's my favorite. I love him.
Yeah.
So he was my age and I think he was nominated for an Academy Award at my age.
Oh, wow.
My dad was doing the Oscars. He was performing, doing something as Captain Chaos or something. And I was there for the rehearsal and they came up to me and they were like, Ricky, we're ready for you, to do your rehearsal. And I was like, I'm not Ricky Schroeder. But that, was interesting. And I did a TV movie when I was in 6th grade. So what am I, 11? Well, how old are you in like 5th grade, 6th grade?
11.
11. Okay. So I was 11 and I did a TV movie where I played my dad's son. It was called Happy. He produced it. It was true story about a clown who was doing like a nightclub act and someone came in and there was a hit. Somebody came in and just shot everybody in the nightclub at a table. And one of them was the main target, but this person dressed up and did blackface. And so he was a white man dressed up, put dreads on and like he was a black guy. And the cops then were looking for a black suspect, even though the clown guy knew makeup and everything. And he saw that he had makeup on, so he helped them catch the guy who did it. And I played his son in that. And so that was my first, I did a TV movie, but not so fun. I mean,
really? Well, cause you're a kid.
I was the only kid in it. Dee Wallace, the mom from E.T. was in it. And an actor called Henry Silver, who just died last week. Funnily enough, he was the bad guy. And I had to go to school and work. And that was no fun. You know what I mean? I didn't like that I had to go to the schoolroom, go back. And then I wanted to hang out with everybody. I didn't want to go and do school.
Right. What was the first time?
Do you think that was the longest answer to that question? What was the question? The question I remember. What kind of inspired you to want to do?
Yeah. Acting? What was the moment you were like, I want to do this. This is great.
Birth.
Yeah.
Birth was the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, oddly enough, mine was Wizards when I met you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I just
wait a minute. You don't think about being an actor, but you're working on.
But yeah, so it was just interesting because when I was younger, like I loved performing and like singing was mostly what I did. And I just like, I always wanted to be Hilary Duff on Disney Channel. Like, I mean, obviously, and I was obsessed with Disney Channel. And then when I got the call to come on Wizards, I was just supposed to be a background extra. And I was like, I'm doing it because I want to be on the Disney Channel set. And like, It's Wizards of Waverly Place. And then they bumped us up. So it was like, that's how I got into the union. That's how I got my first co-star. Like, that's how I became friends with a lot of people. And it was the first experience I had in LA. And which was a blessing and a curse because, I talk about it with a lot of people who worked on Wizards. It was the best show to work on. Everybody.
Well, what's the curse part?
Because not all sets are like that. So so like,
well, it's very rare.
Yeah. So I would get another job and go to set and be like, wait, this is not as warm and friendly. Everybody's not like super excited to be here. And like, I'm not making friends with everybody. It was very like, oh, so Wizards was just like this anomaly of like a family. Like you guys were truly like a family.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. And, I think, I guess you don't know, I guess that's the curse part about it. You don't know that you got it that good. And Jake, actually, we had like a reunion dinner. I don't know, like 6-7 years ago. I don't even know when it was, but we all went into like a Japanese restaurant. Selena was busy. She wasn't able to come, but Jake came up to me and he was like, I had no idea how awesome it was because like he was on the Fosters then, and I think something happened, but he appreciated now the fact that we had such a good set and how good. And he said, I learned everything I know about acting from you. And I was like, we should have a conversation rather than you just watching me. We should know.
Yeah.
He was so funny when he did nothing. All he had to do was just say the line. At the table read, Jake would kill it. His read was great. And then he would want to add things to it or change it up. And it was just best for him just to read it and say it out loud and know that he understood. I don't know if he understood I'm going to ask him this. I don't know if he understood all the jokes and everything that was being said, or if some of it went over his head, but yet he said it.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. That's Max.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because I was just watching the episode. You and I never had any scenes together, but I became like closest with you out of everybody. I think we would just like hang out in the back a lot, like at the tables in the back.
Yeah.
But I was watching the episode and I was literally like, Max was so funny and just like so chill and natural. And even you and what's her name, Maria? You guys were so great together. I mean, everybody was just so good in the writing of that show. Like, people think Disney Channel show like hokey over the top, like I'm the TV dad, but it was like, no, it was really funny and like grounded. Like that show, for being about magic and wizards, it was very grounded compared to most of the Disney Channel shows.
It was a family show. There's at least the first 3 seasons were in the family, like how we're all affected and we're all in this kind of together. And I didn't know that when I was coming in. When I was coming in, I was like, okay, I'm going to have a job for a year. Like I knew I was guaranteed a year of work. And I was like, okay, that's the most important thing right now. I got to, provide. And I'm really glad I did the show, but I turned down the original show, the original pilot. I auditioned for it, and then we couldn't come to a normal salary. There was, I was here and they were there. You know what I mean? It was very, very far apart. So they shot the whole pilot with a different dad, and Jake was not in it. And it wasn't a sub shop; it was a magic shop. And David and Selena were twins. It's weird, right?
So funny. And
Brandon, this kid Brandon, was on it as David's best friend, and then he ended up being on Sunny with a Chance. Did you ever watch that show?
I did. I would say like that era is like the last time I watched Disney Channel shows, probably like with Sunny with a Chance and Wizards and Hannah Montana and Sweet Life on Deck. Like that's when I got on Wizards. And then I think I finished watching Wizards. And then I was like, okay, I'm kind of, these new shows just aren't my jam really.
Because like after us, Jessie she was like a grown up, you know what I mean? There was a butler there. There was, it wasn't really a traditional family. And I mean, I guess the Hannah Montana was a family, but the Zach and Cody, just two kids running around. I mean, there was a mom, but it was more about them and the butler and getting into trouble at the hotel, I mean, is that Kim Rhodes? Is that who was the mom? Good Luck Charlie. I think that was family oriented. I thought that they did a good job there on that show.
Yeah. Roxy worked on hair on that show. So then I had been there a couple times, and I actually work with a girl. Her dad was the dad on Good Luck Charlie. So it's so weird how I'm always like connected to these
Eric.
people. Yeah. So what was like your favorite memory of Wizards? Do you have one?
Oh, I mean, the paycheck every week. No. The free food. I mean, that's the staple answer.
Honestly, they had some really good breakfast.
What was his name? The craft service guy. His son became good friends with David. And
I don't remember.
So he was the very athletic guy, but he always had he was very proud of the food that he had. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I used to take a lot of the food and make my kids' lunches out of whatever we had there,
Hell yeah.
Free. Anything you can do for free. Milk it as much as you can.
Yeah.
I love the day in, the day out, the regular schedule of it. Because, like going out of town, my kids were whatever, I don't know, the same age as like 9, 10, and like 14. I mean, DeStefano, my oldest, was just a year younger than Selena. So I could go over the material and put myself in my real dad's shoes in real life and kind of have a scene, even though it's all comedy, it's based in reality. You want it to be real. So
right.
I tried to pretend like I was really talking with my real daughter, It was the same age. I was very young by the way. I would have been 17 or 18 if I was David Henry's real dad when he was born.
Oh, wow.
I was young. And we were the first mixed race couple on Disney. Isn't that sad?
I mean, thank God things are changing now, but it is so interesting. Speaking of change, so that was like when you got done with Wizards, how did you deal with the change of it all? Because I'm learning now, I am not good with change at all.
Yeah, I don't know. The change for me was what it was like prior to the show, and then in the business, what it was like after. Going in, it was like auditioning for series regulars, offer only on everything else. And, like my quote was super high. Like, my quote was 4 times more than what I got paid on the show. And I'm okay with that. And also I got to direct and because of that, and I was able to compensate some of the money that I would have made if I had done another show. And the residual effect, because there's no like really good residuals from the show. I mean, there's like not like a primetime rerun of a show will pay you, a few $1,000s. I'll get a few $100s for a season of Wizard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's not good. But the residual effect was people then started knowing me as the dad, and I've done like a bunch of talking dog movies. I've done like 12 dog movies. And 4 of them were in one line called Pup Star, and they're on Netflix and stuff. And it's really funny because there's I think W.C. Fields said, never work with animals or kids. And that's, that's my career. Right. But so when I got off the show, I didn't have a job anymore. My monthly nut was very high because I had divorced and I had pulled money out of the house, and I had to sell my house and move. I rented for the first time in my life. It was interesting. It was humbling. And they wanted me to audition. I sound like an asshole now. They wanted me to audition for a guest spot on a show.
On Friends, Phoebe goes to Joey. You, an actor, audition? The madness.
That's funny. Yeah. So I called my friend and she was like, yeah, we're auditioning now for guest spots and everything. And so this is the change, how it changed, but then, I mean, prior to the show being over, I was at the Grove going down the escalator and I was talking to my friend and somebody in front of us just went like perked up, turned around and was like, oh my God, you're the dad from the, and he recognized me from my voice.
Okay.
I was like, that's crazy.
When we got off the phone the other day, I was literally thinking the same thing. Like there's something about your voice. It's so distinctive and it's very like calming and warm. And like, you just kind of feel safe when you hear your voice. I know that sounds so like, I feel like there's very few people you're like, you hear their voice and like also with the cast of Friends, like I hear their voice and I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, I know if I'm hearing this, I'm okay. But you have that kind of voice that's like so different from everybody else's. So I totally get that.
Well, thank you. And that feels good. I think that, I do the movie trailer voice guy, that one man, one rogue man, one desolate town, one dog, one bone coming this summer.
You could, that's amazing.
There's 5 guys that do that. It's like impossible to get into that business. They own that,
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good. But so after the show, I moved and, I started auditioning for stuff. I actually did that particular audition was for the show Rizzoli and Isles. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 female police officers, detectives, and I kidnapped one of them. And I don't know, you should try to see the episode. It was good. I played a total crazy guy. And is it Sheila Ward? I don't know. She was on Law and Order and the nicest actress ever. She was so sweet. So I handcuff her. I tie her up to the bed and I have made my bedroom as if we've been married. Like I did cutouts of our heads on magazines and stuff. And it's like, I pretend like we were married, I'm delusional.
Mm-hmm.
But also really angry and scary too. So that part was so fun. I really enjoyed doing that,
Yeah.
And man, it's so funny how things happened. At the very end of Wizards, I was testing for a new NBC show. And there was one day of the pilot and the end of the Wizards shoot that overlapped. It wasn't even a work day. It was just like an insurance day or something. Mm-hmm. And then like I couldn't go and test, and then they worked it out and I went and tested. I didn't get it, but it was like if I had gone to that first test, it would have been a different story. And that was the show Grimm to be the partner. So it was interesting. That would have changed everything. And also I auditioned for a Nickelodeon show to be the dad. Mm-hmm. And I went to studio and then they wanted to take me to network. They had to get the approval from the network and they got the approval, because I was a Disney dad. Now to be Nickelodeon dad, like to make the crossover, it's weird. Usually that doesn't happen, and also with Disney, they don't bring you on as a different character on a show. Like in the Disney world, I am Jerry Russo, period. I'm not going to do another show probably. And that was Ricky, Bippy, Bobby, and Soppy or something. There's 4 names. It's Ricky, Bobby, Tony, and Loney or whatever it is. It's 4 names. And the guy who got it is great. But I said, no, I don't want to do it. I want to spend more time with my daughter. And it was the same money, it's the same thing. And I was like, I already did that for 5 years.
Right.
But I was just thinking the other day, like that would have been a real different story. I would have directed a lot of the episodes, I'm sure. And, it would have been for sure a different way of going. But I then, after the show, I had all this time with my daughters, I had a lot more FaceTime with them, because for 5 years we were doing the show, So, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's like, things don't always go the way we think they should be, but it ends up all just like working out for the best. And like, it's hard to think of like, oh, if only I had this, or I should be doing this. And you get so bogged down by those. And I think a lot of that is happening in my, like, I'm 31 now. So a lot of that is happening where I'm like, I should be this by now. And I should be this by, but I'm like, honestly, like, who says that I have to be all of those things? And like, but it definitely is when you're making those decisions and you have a family, it's much different. But I'm sure like, time with your kids is like, you can't get that time back. And that's what a lot of people miss the most when they are parents on sets, is like that time with their kids that they don't really get.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And now my kids don't talk to me. It's funny. But it's true. That's a long story. That was what I was thinking about when we first started. You were like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Do you want the real answer, or do you want?" Usually people go, "Good, I'm good. How are you?"
Mm-hmm.
But there's some family stuff going on that's tricky. I'm remarried to a wonderful woman. She's awesome. Her name is Julia. She's from Germany and in Germany right now. Her dad is not well, so she's spending time with her family and also working. She directs and acts and writes all of the stuff that's in America, like Friends. Like the show, they take the script, they make it make sense into German, all the jokes, they do this in every language, but she works on it in Germany. And then, actors then watch it and dub the thing. Have you ever watched Friends and put on like Spanish or German or,
No, but I have this weird thing where if Titanic's ever on TV, I have to watch it. Like
in Spanish.
So it was in Spanish. So sometimes I would try to be like, okay, what's that word? Because I know the movie so well, like I quote every single thing. So I'm like, oh, this could be a good way to start learning Spanish. But then I'm just sitting there quoting the movie in English and like being proud of myself that it's aligning.
Right, that you know what it is, but you should do that with Friends because I'm sure you know every single
I would
thing,
literally learn Spanish so fast because I would be just like, I know everything they're saying. So yeah.
Right. Oh, it's so funny. The tone of our voice, like the guy who does Joey probably sounds like Joey. They try to have them fit. You want them to sound similar, like the guy who does Arnold Schwarzenegger is what came to mind, but he could do himself, but he doesn't. The guy who does Johnny Depp, he sounds like Johnny Depp, but in German. So she's there now and she'll be back October 15th.
Oh, nice.
And then it's our wedding anniversary, October 17th. Happens to be International Pasta Day, by the way.
Oh, perfect. So eat a ton of pasta on your anniversary.
Eat some pasta, yeah. And I think leather is, how it's like paper and this. Every anniversary has a different wood or whatever it is. So it's leather. I don't know what they get leather-wise. I have to figure that out. Maybe leather shoes, like moccasins, or a purse. They make
there you go.
Purse out of leather.
I don't know. I mean, I would prefer, fake leather because I feel bad for the cows.
Right. But, so does that count though? If you're doing the traditional gift thing, does that count?
I think it would. I mean, it would count for me. I'd be happier.
Yeah, no, of course. It's really funny.
So I have been going through like a lot of different changes and everything of like new job, and I'm living alone for the first time and I'm buying new things.
For the first time at 30?
Well, yeah, I've always had roommates and right now I don't have one. And I'm learning that I kind of don't love it. Like when you live with the right person, it's really fun. And I like coming home to, somebody and be like, how was your day? What's going on? And like, let's watch a movie and like chill. And then you appreciate your time alone more when you're not always with somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. But what about when you have or your roommate has a significant other?
Yeah, I mean, I get like.
Was there dating? Has there dating happened since? You've had a roommate your entire life.
Yeah, but I'm like, it would never happen at my house. Like I'd always go over the guy's house. I never like having I don't want to intrude on anybody.
You can leave when you want.
Yes, that's what I like. Commitment is hard.
That is really funny. Yeah, but look, let's say you get into, like a relationship and you have a roommate. Like that's a situation, right?
Yeah, I mean,
a relationship where you want to live together. I mean, that happens eventually.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I get into a relationship, this guy is going to have to be so cool with having friends memorabilia everywhere and pictures of my dogs. And
well, what if he really likes Friends?
See, I feel like I couldn't.
That would be
somebody.
A perfect guy. Why? Oh, be careful what you say.
I know, but like somebody who's as obsessed. Like I can't have somebody who's as obsessed. I need somebody who knows when I'm quoting the show, like what I'm saying. But I also don't want you to be like,
Why would that's so weird to me? Why would you want?
Nothing about it makes sense.
That's so interesting.
But it was funny because I literally just texted my old roommate this morning, and I had said, because I got a new area rug and it made me kind of spiral.
I know. I voted. Calm down, Grandma.
Yes, I know. But I'm like, this is new and it's a statement.
Just take it easy. It's a different thing. You have to get used to it.
I know.
When you start wearing glasses or you do whatever, you have to give it a month.
Well, case in point, I have like 4 pairs of glasses around here and I rather squint.
Really? Oh, you don't like how you look in the glasses?
Hold on, like this? It's not that I don't like how I look. I'm like, I need this off of my face. Like, it just like bothers me. I'm like, I feel like getting in my way. It's so weird. I don't know. But this all brings me to, I texted them and I said, who did I think I was to get a new rug, watch Lord of the Rings, and a new job in a week? I might as well go skydiving. And I am realizing like I am not good with change at all. And it was like,
but change is constant. Change is inevitable.
You're big ones.
You're like fighting. You can like, I don't want to get older. You're going to get older. It's going to happen.
I know. But like, case in point, I was watching Gilmore Girls last night, which you were also on, and I'd love to hear about that. But there's an episode where Lorelai needs a new car and she goes car shopping and she's like, I just don't get that feeling. And she ends up buying the exact same car. And that is literally what I did. And I had a 2008 Ford Focus and got in an accident. 4 months later, I bought a 2009 Ford Focus. I could have gotten any other car, but I was like, nope, I want this. I want exactly the same thing I had.
I don't see what's wrong with what you're saying. I go to Cafe Gratitude. I get the magical in a wrap with coconut bacon, which is like a burger, but a burrito kind of thing with fries. I love it. And I don't get anything else because I know I'm going to enjoy that. So
exactly.
I've been driving I've had an Audi for a long time. I've had an Audi for a decade. I had I like the brand, I mean, I had an A6 and now I have an A5, but they're used. Well, no, I bought the first one new, but the other one was used and I bought it. I didn't lease it, but I think it's okay to have the same thing. Here's the thing. You can't have the same job your entire life.
I know.
That would be, unless of course you really enjoy it, and if you like what you do and you earn a living at it, it's amazing.
Right.
But you doing all those things and having change, I mean, everything is always, there's change happening. I want to go back to something for a second. Does your old roommate like the show Friends and get all your references?
They had never really watched Friends, and they love Reese Witherspoon.
Are they? Is that why you're saying that? Okay,
yes.
Got it.
They are non-binary. So, but like Jake loves Reese Witherspoon. And so I showed them all the Reese Witherspoon episodes and so great. And the Christina Applegate ones. So it was like, if I watched, they love like the reality TV shows, which I am not a big reality TV show girl. And so it was like, okay, well, we'll watch 1 episode of the Kardashians, but then you owe me 2 episodes of Friends. Like that was our negotiation.
Oh, how funny. Oh, because it's an hour and that's a half an hour.
Yeah. So it was like, that was our negotiation.
22 minutes to be exact. You know, when they were shooting Friends, I was on the Christina Applegate show, Jessie. I played her brother that was on in between Friends and Frasier.
Oh my gosh. What a time.
That was crazy. And Bright Kaufman Crane produced it. So they were doing Friends, shooting Friends on Friday, Veronica's Closet on Tuesday, and then we were a Wednesday show. So they could come to the shoot. It was no one shoots on Wednesday, but we did.
Yeah, but so like,
but the reason I said that is because you said that the Christina Applegate was on the show, and I don't really remember those episodes. Like I wanna watch that. What was her character? What was her interaction?
She actually won a Golden Globe for her guest star appearance on the episode.
Really?
It's one of my all-time favorite episodes called, I'm pretty sure it's the one with Rachel's other sister. And she's like mad that if Ross and Rachel die, she wouldn't get the baby.
Christina Applegate is the sister?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And she did 2 episodes, I think, on Friends, but she was so great on that. It's like season 9, I want to say season 8 or 9, probably. But yeah, I'll send it to you. You should watch it. It's so the writing, and it's anytime it's on TV, I have to watch it. It always makes me laugh. And everything is just like so fast and going full circle. And her responses and reactions are so great. It's so, I just love it. But yeah, I think the thing with change is that the changes that are happening in my life are good. And it's one of those questions I keep asking myself, like when you start getting everything you ask for, like it's a weird feeling, and where you're kind of used to like the other shoe dropping or like something falling through. And it's that fear that's like keeping you safe and keeping you comfortable. But like the unknown is good, but it's also really scary because I don't know that I'm going to love something in this new change. I don't know that it's going to work out for the best, but I trust that it will. But it's like,
yeah, but if it doesn't, you move on to the next change. Exactly. And the next thing. It's interesting how you're not liking change so much, and your entire life have watched one television show. Have you ever watched a different show other than Wizards, Gilmore Girls, or Friends?
I mean, I think, well, before Friends, the only streaming services weren't out when I moved here, and all I had were the Boy Meets World DVDs. So,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you listen to Boy Meets Pod?
Or the Pod Meets World? I've listened to a couple episodes like briefly here and there, and I love it. But part of me is like, I don't want to know how the sausage is made. Like, I don't want to break that wall.
The sausage? That's such a good analogy. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Like, I don't want to see behind the curtain of that show because it still is like near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't want to hear the behind the scenes so much because I still want to believe those are real people existing in the world.
Okay, we have to talk about that. They're actors. they're actors on a television show.
In my head, they live as Corey, Sean, and Topanga somewhere.
Oh my God.
It's so funny.
Mr. Feeney.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Feeney. I love him so much. Oh gosh. So my comfort show clearly is Friends, but again, it's been so many different things. Like last night I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 5 a.m. and you
watched Friends.
I turned Gilmore Girls on. Sometimes it goes differently.
I have a little story about that. You said you wanted to hear.
Yes.
Michael, my brother, was on there and he was so funny. He played he was just as dumb as can be.
He played TJ.
Luke's brother-in-law. TJ. Yeah. Luke's brother-in-law. And they were doing a wedding, and there was a part of my brother's, and so I went and did that. And I had actually worked with Lauren Graham in the past, and I had to kiss her in the show that I did with her. It's very difficult. It was nice to see her again. I only had a little small part, but I did, Gilmore Girls, you just have to talk really fast. So my line was that there was a little paragraph, like a little Gilmore Girls thing, whatever it was, I don't remember, but it was like cut. Great. Director came over to me and all he said was this: great job, David. Talk faster.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, that wasn't fast enough. Oh, God. So I did it, and I just talked as fast as I could. And that show was great. That show, the writing, Amy Palladino. And I know this, too, that she was very much in control of that show. You know, a lot of times you write a show, you do a thing, the network notes it beforehand. And, you know, the script before the table read has gone through so many machinations, you know. But she, because she wanted full control, would turn in the final script the night before the table read.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that crazy? So, I mean, think about all the department heads that you're shooting the next day. So, there's in the script, this character he's a grown up and he has a onesie that has fire trucks on it. Where are they going to get that in a day? You know,
right.
But then they would, you know, somehow they would. And then she got control over what they were shooting, you know, which is one of the reasons why I think the show was so great.
Oh, it was. And this is another one of my problems is that I have two more episodes of Gilmore Girls and one more episode of Boy Meets World to finish the show in its entirety again. And instead of finishing it, I went back to the first episode of Gilmore Girls last night.
Wait a minute. You have to watch those 2 episodes and then you can go back. But
it's something about, and I'm like, I can't handle another ending right now. I have enough transitions happening in my life where
you can watch the reboot. Look,
I love all of them so much, but the reboot just like was not the same. It was great to see them all together again, but it just was like, I didn't love what they did with the storyline. And I just felt like it kind of gave us like, you mean to tell me after all these years, Luke and Lorelai never got married and Rory has no idea what she's doing? Like,
yeah, no, I know, but they have to recreate
yeah.
I mean, they can't give you these characters and new scenarios. They got to give you what worked in the past, which is the same kind of, you know, situation. I know that what's her name, who is super funny and does comedy movies and was
Melissa McCarthy.
Yeah. So she was doing a show with a friend for a movie, and they had called and asked me and Michael if we were available. I think they had called everybody and just did a check, you know, just in case, because they didn't know what the scripts were going to be, I'm sure, you know. And I told that to my friend, and then she was working with her, and she said, "Oh, are you going to do the reunion?" And she said, "They haven't asked me. But yet the word got out that she had turned it down."
Oh.
So isn't that funny how you know, behind the scenes of that, we all see her saying, "No, I don't want to do it," but yet they didn't even ask her. I mean, that's interesting, don't you think?
Yeah. I saw Melissa McCarthy leaving at Urban Outfitters once, and I said hi to her. I just was like, hi, like, because we were like right next to each other, and she gave me the worst look ever and looked like she was so just like, and kept walking. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry, Suki.
Now that is why I don't want to see the person behind the thing with the sausage and everything. Like,
exactly.
I did this interview thing for VH1. They were re-releasing The Big Chill, and I interviewed everyone who was coming, and Kevin Kline was not nice to me. He was being a butthead, and that I loved him. I thought he was amazing and talented, but he was just not nice, which is not something you want to experience, you know. So
pardon me did you say Calvin Klein or Kevin Klein?
No, Kevin Kline. But
the underwear guy?
when you meet someone like your hero or something, you want them to be nice people, you know.
We've talked about my go-to shows a lot.
Yes.
And you're on a lot of them, which is it's so fun to me to hear these like little tidbits, or your brothers have been on them. So it's really fun. But you said that your go-to, your comfort was Lord of the Rings.
Well, what I said was The Cosby Show and Roseanne. But those have been spoiled and ruined. So that's no fun anymore. But I did really suck enjoy
when a show
those.
Gets like tainted.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were very clever and funny, and I worked with Roseanne on Third Rock from the Sun, that was a great job. That was 7 seasons, 55 episodes, and just working with so many amazing people. So I got that twice to work on Wizards, which was great. And then Third Rock.
I have never seen Third Rock from the Sun. I should watch that.
I think you'd like it. Like it. It's really good writing. It's very funny. And John Lithgow and Jane Curtin, everybody, they're great. Although I have many, Lord of the Rings is the major one. I mean, but that I guess different shows remind you, give you, stimulate other different things, you know. But Lord of the Rings, I love when they came out. I used to watch the cartoon of Lord of the Rings when I was younger. And that was just the best when I was a kid. I watched that over and over again. And I played something called Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's
a little D&D. Yeah.
I know. You know D&D?
I know what it is because I had a friend who had brothers, but I never played it.
You know D&D, but you don't know Ricky Schroeder? What?
I also had to Google who Klein was, Kevin Klein.
You don't know Kevin Klein?
I know.
Oh my
but see,
God.
This is a great
fish
thing.
Called Wanda. Listen, A Fish Called Wanda.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
In and Out, and The Big Chill.
The Big Chill.
You have to watch The Big Chill.
But see, that's what I love about like doing this podcast is like, it's getting me to like stop watching the same thing every single day and watch new things. So watching Lord of the Rings was watching Lord of the Rings is great.
You didn't just watch Lord of the Rings. You got to specify. You watched all 3 movies, not the director's cut, but
no, but like in 4 days, I watched all 3 movies. That's psychotic.
And about 3 weeks ago, I had COVID. And I was like, what am I going to put on? Because I didn't really want to pay attention, but I wanted to, have something on because I was alone or with my dog. Yulia was in Germany. So I put on Lord of the Rings. And I just watched all 3 of them, the director's cut.
Shit.
3 weeks ago. I mean, over 2 days, I'm sure I had time on my hands. I had COVID. It was a good excuse.
Yeah.
But also, I used to watch that with my oldest daughter. She would come over and we're like, well, what do you want to watch? Like, we would just put on Lord of the Rings. And usually it was previously being watched. So it wouldn't, sometimes you start from the beginning, but it was like 1/3 in. And you start from there, but yeah, it gives me comfort. It makes me feel good. And yeah, I love those movies. When I first watched them in the theaters, I wanted more. And when it was over, when the 3rd movie, I was like, I cried in the theater.
I bet.
Don't tell anybody I cried. So, but I cried and I was like, it's over. And then when the Hobbits were being made, I was so excited, but those movies are terrible.
Really?
I do not like those movies.
I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it on those.
Yeah. You don't have to watch all 3 of those.
Yeah. It was interesting because I had seen the first probably 15, 20 minutes of Lord of the Rings a million times because it would always make me fall asleep. And I don't know if it's just because it was comforting or if I was like, this is so weird or boring. But now when I got older, I watched the first one and it ends and I was like, are you kidding me? I just watched this whole thing and where's the ring? He still hasn't returned the ring. I just spent 3 hours of my life so invested and nobody returned the ring. And then my dad was like, no, you have to keep watching. And I was like, what?
Oh, your dad likes the movies.
Oh, I was blowing up my dad's phone, which was fun for me and probably fun for him to like bond over that.
Interesting. My daughter and I bonded and now you and your dad bonded. That's so cool.
Yeah. So because it was like, I was like, hold on a second. Why is Gollum's name suddenly Smeagol? And like, why is Bobo or Bilbo? Why is Bilbo so tired? Like, and my dad was like, well, because the ring is like draining him. And I was like, oh, maybe I have one of these rings on. Like, I'm tired all the time too. And then I was thinking like, oh, if I just like let my hair go curly, I could totally be Frodo for Halloween because we're the same height. And like, just like I was having all these thoughts and then I couldn't stop like on the parts that would kind of scare me or when I would get a little too like stressed out watching it, I would just film it and then put like a rom-com song over it to make it like feel like less intense for myself. And then I was just having so much fun watching all of it.
That's really funny. I love that you put the music on there. And if you dress up as Frodo for Halloween, you have to take a picture and show me.
Yes. I mean, why not? I just need like big furry feet.
That's so funny. So your dad was happy that you watched the movies, I'm sure.
Yeah, but multiple times he was like, Brittany, just watch the movie. Cause I'm like asking questions in real time as everything's happening. And that's probably why I'm not the best to like watch a movie with in general, especially like in a theater. Cause I'm like, well, wait, why is this in my, like, I can't just shut up and watch the movie.
Okay. Duly noted. We're never going to go to a movie together.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny.
Yeah. So that definitely makes me feel comforted and good.
Who's your favorite? Like what character are you like?
It's impossible. But I mean, Samwise Gamgee is not a bad go-to. And, my brother Michael did Encino Man with him, with Sean Astin.
Oh, wow.
That's the friend of Frodo.
Yes. I mean, let me tell you, I had a lot of feelings when I finished that movie. I was like, Sam just went through all of this with Frodo and Frodo's just leaving him. Like, that is so mean. And then I was like, poor Frodo, like he had his life robbed from him. Like he loved the Shire so much. And like, then it was never the same again. I was having so many feelings watching this movie.
That's really funny. Well, but see, that's good. I mean, yeah. But I mean, I think, I know you don't like change, but he's grown up, they're moving on with their lives, which happens, Is
there a quote from Lord of the Rings you like quote often, or one that's really stuck with you from that show or from any show really?
Yeah. I mean, I know every fucking line in the movie, but I'm trying to think of what, I mean, the other thing is you got to love, I'm having blanking on his name, but the king,
Viggo Mortensen?
Yes, Viggo is so great. There was a different guy who had that.
Is it Viggo or Viggo?
No, I think it's Viggo, like you just said. He did a great movie too, I think. He directed, and I forgot. It's about him and like he has 10 kids and they're like living off the land, family something. I don't know. That's a good recommend. I'll find out the name and
he was my favorite. He was my favorite in all of it. He was just such a badass and like, he was so good. I loved him.
Yeah. And so hot.
Yeah, exactly. Hot.
That's so funny. I'm trying to think of a line. Oh, Frodo. When he says, I'll take it, he stands up. The meeting, they're all there at the meeting and everybody's arguing and he goes, I'll take it. And he goes, I'll take it. And then Gandalf, you just see his face and he goes, oh, my dear boy, whatever he says. It's, I like that part. That makes me cry. There's parts that you can't not cry,
Yeah.
I say at the very end, he goes, I may not be able to carry that ring, but I can carry you.
Oh, I know. I was like, so good. He's like such a bromance going on.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
It's surprising they don't kiss at one point,
I mean, I was waiting for it for sure. There were moments that it could have happened.
You know what's weird? The new Lord of the Rings show has nothing. It's just not, I'm not enjoying it.
Is there like is there like a show or a movie you turn on when you're not feeling like really connected to yourself that like kind of brings you back to who you are and like brings you really good memories?
Well, not a sitcom. I can't watch sitcoms anymore. I've worked on them so many times and directed and I know what's coming, so I really love Better Call Saul, Ozark, a lot of those documentaries, and I don't fucking care. I'm going to admit this. I watched 10 seasons of Beverly Hills Housewives. The original.
Okay. This is so great because I was just telling you my last roommate, obsessed with the Housewives, obsessed. Now I haven't seen all 10 seasons, but the last 2 seasons, I would say I'm caught up, and it is like I can't stop watching it. I can't stop. They're all unhinged. And I'm like, when Erica is doing anything crazy or Lisa's doing anything crazy, I'm like screaming at the TV, like, are you kidding me? Like, these women are unhinged. It's so fun to watch. I don't know what it is.
It's hate watching, like Yolanda. Fuck you, Yolanda. You are not sick. You are milking that motherfucker, and give your daughter more than a small half piece of cake on her birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, yeah, you've made your kids supermodels, but you've fucked them up. The
oh my
girls.
Gosh.
But I mean, I could go on forever, and
And Kyle Richards just constantly stays stirring the pot, constantly, all the time. I'm like,
yeah, but it's her show. I mean, they're
true.
And then the reunions are the best. What's his name? Who does the
Andy Cohen?
Yeah, he's asking questions. He goes, the best, and they cut to him too. They're like, so you guys told each other you thought each other were bitches. So how's that going now? And he'll look and he'll watch,
yeah.
Oh, and the fucking bunny that Kim gave back. I mean, you got to go.
I need to do a deep dive. I'm like watching the current season, and I watched most of the last, but I mean, there are times where I'm like, okay, I need to turn this off. Cause sometimes they yell so much. I'm like, my fucking head hurts. It's too much.
Yeah. It's overwhelming, but it's hard not to continue and continue and continue. They're very good at that, but
I know.
I have not watched cause I am cheap and I am waiting for the last 2 seasons. I think there's 2 seasons I've missed. I've gone up until, everything's happened with the lawyer and she has just gotten Erica Jane.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I know all these names.
I know, it's so great. See, I think I'm the last of my kind. Like, I will never get rid of cable. I am so happy that last night I didn't know what to watch. I was waiting for a friend to come over and I turned on Wheel of Fortune. Like, I love that. I don't think I could ever not have that.
Yeah.
I like flipping through the channel and just like being like, oh, I haven't seen that in so long. And like, I know that I could go on Hulu and spend 4 hours looking for something to watch, but then I'll just end up watching the same thing. Where if it's on TV in that moment and I just get to go, okay, why not tune in? And then I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's the award shows and the sports. That's the thing that I miss, but I'm kind of okay with not seeing those anymore.
When was like the first time you saw yourself in a character?
I always see some of myself in whatever character I'm doing. If I'm playing a drug addict, I see myself as that. I mean, it's more, how do I imagine how it is not to be the character, like when I in Rizzoli and Isles, when I played the crazy person, I had to really immerse myself into the crazy where, I mean, whatever. I had a manic episode when I was like 20 and I got diagnosed bipolar. And so I've been on, medication for that for a long time, and it's good and it's great. And I'm happy about that, and now I can't remember why I was saying that.
Well, about Rizzoli and Isles and the manic episode.
So I got to draw on that. So, I mean, any character that I'm doing, I'm looking at that. And I did that with Jerry Russo. Like I was saying, like I put myself in real life scenarios. I think that when you're acting, if you can draw on that, I do this acting class thing and it's called Actors Giving Back. David DeLuise Acting Studio. And one of the things that I do is like, we'll do a monologue and the person is, I don't know, talking about someone who they like and they have a crush on or whatever. And I said, who is that person? And they're like, Billy, because that's the name. And I was like, no, who is that person to you?
For you. Yeah.
Oh, it's someone that I like. And I said, well, we gotta get more specific than that. How about this is someone that you've been wanting to be with for 10 years, let's make it more important and more vested. Now, is there someone in real life that you like or that you have a crush on? And always they do like a little smile and they like think it. And I said, that's the person who you have to think about. And they're like, oh my God, really? And that's the real thing. That's what we want to see is that real, authentic, because you act differently when you think about someone that you really like compared to a person that however you want to get there. But I like to think of like a real person that I care about, or a real scenario that I can identify with and I can put myself in, mixed with imagination when I don't, have that, So, but I guess, so the answer is I see myself in all characters.
Right. So when you were 20, you found out you had bipolar disorder?
Yeah. And then I got on medication and things went well. And then that's when I got sober at 20. Before I could purchase alcohol, I stopped drinking it. Welcome to insanity. And then at 21, I had DeStefano. I was a young dad, and that's how old I would have been as Jerry Russo to have Selena as my daughter,
So life kind of imitates art a little bit there.
Right.
For sure.
And that was one of the things that I said. People were like, you're kind of young. And I was like, I have a 14-year-old daughter now,
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, like, what was the deciding factor for you to go, okay, I might need to check this out when you were 20 and you were like, something's off? I
was traveling around Europe and I was not making sense. And the person I was hanging out with called my dad and said, David's having, something's going on here. And then I met my dad in New York and, I saw a doctor and took a minute, but things got a little better. I mean, my dad was bipolar. And I mean, I think there's a lot more people that are, maybe on some kind of medication. And to me, bipolar is not bad. It just means you have really high highs and really low lows. I mean, I'd rather have highs and lows than just lows. It's like on those highs, my garage gets clean. I write a script. I mean, you can utilize those times, I wrote a great script. It was about the illegitimate son of God. He was like God cheated on Mother Nature and this soul went back and everything was like Jesus related, but half. Like he couldn't turn water into wine, but he could turn it into beer. And then that, him having kind of powers, not knowing what to do with them and, being estranged from his father, estranged. Do you ever notice, similar topic, but different? Every Disney character always has some kind of problem with their parent. Like they don't have a parent, like Bambi. Oh, the dad's not in the picture and the mom dies.
Yeah. You know what I mean? They'd always just like starts off with a horrible trauma right from the jump. And you're just like, all right, I guess this is what we're dealing with. And it's like, got to get these kids to be kind of funny and at the same time. So like,
there's a lot of tragedy there. You don't typically, I don't know. I mean, it's good. You have a lot of empathy, I think, for the lead character because of that.
Absolutely. It keeps you invested from the very beginning.
No, the reason why, by the way, I wanted to say this, the reason why we didn't have any scenes is because they had David Henry start teaching the class. You know what I mean?
Right.
He like, took over my job,
Right.
And then the thing about Wizards is the first 3 seasons, and we won 2 Emmys,
I know.
Like we did a good job there. And on the movie, which I thought was pretty good. But the 4th season, we became a sounding board. Remember, they fired Peter Marietta and they brought up Ben and Vinny. And then it just became like not about the Russo family, about guest stars coming in and then, going off to their own show. Like it was not about us anymore. And there was no family storyline. It became that traditional way of sitcoms, which is storyline A, storyline B, and storyline C. So basically me and Maria became storyline C. We got pushed to the back burner, And so like I stopped having scenes even with the other kids, which was so silly because we were funny together, So that was a bummer toward the end there. But
do you think being on Wizards, like, did that show really help your mental health, or did it get a little shaky sometimes because of like the success of it all, or because you were going through something hard while you were filming?
My divorce was hard. That stressed that pushed my boundaries. You know, I was in a marriage with a narcissistic woman who was not capable of putting her children's needs in front of her own. And that is the simplest way of saying it. And it's tricky, you know. I was divorcing for so long. And during the show really helped me have fun. You know, like the show was not work. Going through court stuff, being a dad, you know, that kind of stuff, that life stuff, that was the work. If I got a job, I was like, I get a break from my life, you know, because when you're a dad, you're shuttling your kids to and from. I used to drive from West Hollywood to Northridge to take them to school, back to West Hollywood, back to Northridge to pick them up, and then to Culver City for dance class for 4 hours, and then back to Culver City, and then back home to West Hollywood. That was one day. I was like, I invented Uber.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hectic day. And then, you know, being on set, luckily the hours of Wizards were never horrible, but and still also, a big chunk of the day. Yeah.
And that schedule, like when you said, what was your favorite part of Wizards, and other than the food, the free food, it's the fact that I was able to, and I asked them this, and I was always able to drive my kids to school, because from West Hollywood to Santa Monica and then back to West Hollywood where we shot, the studio was exactly 7 minutes away from my house.
Amazing.
But I always was there at 7 minutes, you know what I mean? Or like, I always was just a little, like a minute late. I would get there at 7 and then the parking took me a minute, you know? But yeah, I asked them, can I always start at 8:30? Because if I start at 8, it means I can't bring my kids to school. So I was always able to pick them up, and then some days drive them there. And then some days I was able to pick them up. And if I wasn't, I would have a friend of mine pick them up from school and then bring them to the set. And they would be in the dressing room doing their homework or whatever that was, you know. Yeah. I don't know. My kids were they were not so into it. It was going to work with dad. It was like no fun. You know, what did your dad do?
My dad was a fire captain for 38 years.
Oh, okay. So you going to work with your dad would be kind of maybe not the funnest at the station? Or... Yeah,
at the station. I mean, I would go visit the station. When I was younger, it was cool because we'd play hide and go seek in the fire station, which was a lot of fun.
When you were 14? When
I was 14, well, if I'm being completely honest, I would be like, wow, some of these guys are cute.
Oh my God. You like a mustache.
A man in uniform. I don't know. But then it was like, and then I was like babysitting for a lot of the families there. And it just kind of felt like a home away from home being at the fire station.
Okay, well, that's different. But you know what I mean? Like if your dad's an accountant.
Yeah, you don't want to go to work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't want to go to work. So they were over it. Yeah. But a lot of their friends wanted to come and watch, you know. That was a real pain in the ass. Like everybody wanted to, hey, can we come watch your show?
Yeah.
Next week. And I was like, yeah, no, the show is booked up for 2 months with people that are coming to my free seats, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
But how much did you love doing a live show? Like there's really nothing better.
Yeah. Amazing. I love that. You know, something that I really love watching is the outtakes, the gag reel.
Oh, I could watch outtakes of shows only. Like they make me so happy. I mean, I've probably seen every single Friends outtake that there possibly is. I mean, even the outtakes I was watching of your dad, like it's just so fun to like laugh and see that barrier broken down between like audience and actor of like, these are just real people having a good time and it's fun. Like,
I'm really glad to hear that you know that they're real people and that they're acting.
Except Corey, John, and Topanga.
Right, exactly.
How long have you been sober for? I didn't know you were sober.
I was sober for 22 years, and now you know I'm capable, and I love the program, the AA, and I think it's great. But you know, there's a part in the AA book where it says if you can drink responsibly, our hats are off to you. So right, I don't know, 8, 9, 10, I don't know, whatever, 20. 22. Yeah. So like 8 years. 8 years I've not been in the program. I'm still friends with people in there. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I've never been in the program, but I haven't drank since I was, I would say 25 and I'm 31 now. I just like got to that point where I was like, one, nothing good was happening when I was drinking, and it would make my depression so bad the next day.
Yeah.
And I realized I was doing it not to like have fun and just, have a good time. I was doing it to escape whatever I was feeling. And,
Right.
and it's definitely made me like, now not drinking made me more present. And like, I've had a lot of health issues in the past 10 years where drinking on medication, it would just be horrible. And like, being drunk would be the worst thing. So it just became one of those things for my own mental health. I just, last night there was a part of me that was like, oh, I just wish I could have a glass of wine because I feel like so like manic on edge. Like, oh my God, I need out of my head. I need out of my body.
What do you do in replacement of that?
I really try. Well, I always call a friend.
Watch Friends.
Yeah. I will turn on Gilmore Girls or Friends. It always like just calms me. It just takes me out of where I am. And, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of friends who are all in therapy or all very like empathetic and compassionate or who've gone through this before. And I do have friends who are also in the program, even though I'm not, who are sponsors that I will call and kind of, utilize their tools. But it definitely was one of those things where I'm like, I don't have the luxury of like being like, let me just have a glass of wine after a hard day, because that glass of wine turns into a bottle and 20 other horrible decisions that I could possibly make and feeling like shit.
The horrible decisions. Yeah, I have not. I think one time in 8 years, I've had a hangover. It was my friend's birthday. And if I'm going to have anything, it's like a Hefeweizen, like a beer or a glass of wine. But we were, it was like, let's do shots. And I'm like, I don't really do. Okay, I'll have one shot. And it just didn't sit well with me.
By the time I turned 22, I was over the majority of it, because I had been partying and like going out.
Did you have
doing
a fake
things.
ID?
Oh, multiple.
And you have to memorize all the stuff, were they real IDs?
They were real. I had one girlfriend. She would go in, and then one of our guy friends would come out with her ID, give it to me, and then I'd go in. But it was like before they really cracked down on things. Like, I mean, this girl was like 5'9", black hair, blue eyes, where like she was the Gandalf to my Frodo.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
But then it just got to a point where I was like, this isn't fun. And like, what am I doing this for?
Yeah. I mean, I had my 30s and my 20s because I had 2 kids. Mm-hmm. And then when I got divorced, I don't know, I was 32, 34, whatever I was. Wait, I was like 30. Yeah, 32.
How old were you in the last year of Wizards?
You know what? I didn't know there was going to be a test with math and stuff.
Well, I'm trying to think of it because
how long ago was the end of Wizards?
12 years.
All right. So it was 48 when it ended. No, 38.
No. Yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
I told you I don't do math. Yeah. I was 38.
Wow. So young. It's so weird. Like, I don't feel like, even now I'm in my 30s, I'm in my early 30s. And I still, when people are like, oh, we're getting older, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I'm getting older, but I still don't. I'm not in that, like, yeah, I feel young, and I feel like my life is kind of just beginning right now in my 30s, because I don't have everything figured out, but I'm more at peace with a lot of things.
I'm going to tell you something.
Mm-hmm. Tell me.
You don't have to figure anything out. Mm-hmm. You can just be. I know that sounds silly, but whatever you're doing it. You're mm-hmm. trying. I have full trust that you're doing and trying all the things you want to do. Listen, if we have some happiness in our life, I think we're winning. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of people that are unhappy, and I think maybe part of the unhappiness is trying to figure it out. Right. What am I doing? What's this? What's that?
Right.
And I have done a lot of living within my means, so I don't have to work per se, but you still have to be creative. You still have to do stuff that, participate in your life. I say that where I'm at the cabin house and I have so much fucking shit in this house. I mean, I have things that I love, like my dad's desk. This table I'm sitting at right now was the table that I grew up in our family breakfast area.
Oh, I love that.
And this house, is great, but there's just so much stuff around that I really want to get rid of. It's hard. Do you have a lot of stuff?
Oh, yes. Yes, I do. I mean, you say your family's table, like my couches are from when I was in high school. They were my parents' couches. And I probably should, look at something new, but I'm like, no, it has meaning towards me. Like these are from home. So I do get very sentimental and nostalgic, and I hold on to things longer than I should. I'm trying to get better at it, but I definitely do. Like, I'm trying to declutter my life in general at the moment.
Yeah.
But
me too. And the other thing is just, you must miss your dogs, but I just, I really love spending time with you, Leah, but also with, Tony. I mean, we have a good time. You got to go for a walk. You got to do this. You got to be active.
Yeah. Dogs definitely give you like that purpose for sure of like, if you are having one of those bad days or just like stressful, you just look at your dog and you're like, how could I ever be upset with you next to me?
Yeah, exactly.
Like how? So when you do feel like the onset of some things with your mental health getting a little shaky or like maybe an episode coming on, what is your number one?
I have to say, I have not really had an episode since that. I would say I got a little hyperactive a little bit, but I'll just say it. I was on lithium, which you can kind of gain weight a little bit. There's some side effects, but it's good. And then there's Lamictal there's two different medications that are primarily used to balance someone out. And so I transitioned from one to the next, I guess about 9 years ago or something. And, that's when you need friends. That's when that's when you need someone like, hey, I told my buddy Jason, I told different people, I was like, keep an eye out. And, I felt a little bit of that coming on, but there's never been another, I'll be processing something. And like I said, I'll rearrange and clean the garage, or I'll do this or, but the reality still was always there.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you're like, oh man, I got this great idea, or I'm going to write this down, or, I seem to, I don't know, get obsessed every once in a while with certain things, Oh,
I totally get that. I get fixated. I get obsessed. I can't focus until this one thing is done. Sometimes it's not healthy, but it's like things like, like, if it's my hair or an area rug, it's like, I can control it. I can do something about it, where everything else I cannot control. So then I just become fixated and like, I will not sleep until this is fixed. I will not sleep until I figure this out. And it's like, ooh, it's just a little crazy.
I'm going to tell you something about the area rug. when I've seen polls on the Instagram, it's like, I don't know, 60-40 or 51-49 or whatever. This was 100%.
Yeah,
and zero.
I know.
So I think you did the poll because you were looking for, reinsurance or whatever that is. So go with it.
Yeah.
Accept the results.
Yeah. My best friend Sarah and I were talking about it last night. Like, when did I become the person who's asking other people what they think I should do? Because I've never been that way. I've always been like, no, I know what I want. I know how I feel about things. And then as you get older and you see yourself evolving and changing and making good changes, you're like, wait, I know what the old me would do in this situation, but what would Brittany do right now? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, the truth is, I don't know the answer, which is terrifying.
Yeah, I think you do know the answer. And I think that you're conflicted about the rug. I think it's very busy, and I think you like a little more kind of normalcy. I feel the same way. Rugs are a big deal,
And like, is it about the rug though? Actually,
because it's a forever, like a couch or a chair or a table or something. You don't go like, I'm going to get this couch. You know what? I'm good with this couch. You've had the same fucking couch since your childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that.
Exactly. So it's just interesting. I'm like, what is that about that I'm so hung up on making a decision about an area rug right now?
But, here's something else. I have a certain amount of people that I respect and trust their opinions in my life. I'd say, whatever, 5. Used to be 10, but it's gone down to 5. And that'll happen, by the way, when you're older.
It already has, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. There's certain people that come in and out or whatever, but asking everyone on Instagram is different from asking your round table, your confidants. You know, I mean, like if your best friend is saying something, I would listen to her more so than the Instagram people's.
Well, I did the Instagram poll on my close friends, and every single one of those people I had already called. Like, this is like how unhinged it had become last night. And then I was, woke up at 5 in the morning, and then I was like, do I rearrange my whole apartment right now and roll this rug back up and send it back? But then again, it's like those manic moments, you know, when you're like,
wait a minute, how long until you can send it back?
I just got it yesterday, so I have 30 days. I know, days.
But like,
you have 30 days.
Well, then fuck. 29. You can decide in 29 days.
Oh my God. This is so funny. It's just, I need to just shut the fuck up about the rug already.
I like the rug.
One more question for you so we can wrap all this up, because we've talked a lot about a lot of different things. And I feel like the time has gone by so fast that there's also just like,
I'm going to have to do another episode.
I mean, honestly, whenever you want, because I feel like also like we are friends in real life and we've had a good relationship after Wizards. And so it's like, and I've always felt just like you and I have always had really good conversations. So I feel like we can talk for hours, but I would like to know, what is the most useful piece of advice you've gotten for your diagnosis, and what helps you maintain your mental health?
Constant check-in. I talked to a therapist 1 hour a week. Always good to check in with someone, whether they're, just kind of guiding you or that kind of thing. A good check-in. I think someone who can be objective and definitely need guidance and help with the situation with my kids for sure. And, the first thing they ask you is, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing walking? Are you, are you participating in your life? Those are the 5 or 4, but those are the things that they check in. So you can check in with yourself. I think about 10 months ago, I don't know, every time is relative, but I started doing intermittent fasting. And it's interesting because I think in that amount of time, I've only broke 4 times, and it was because I was traveling to Europe or something, everything was off.
Right.
But I feel really proud of myself when I do certain things, and I have to allow myself to feel that. But when I am successful, I lost 20 pounds, I lost my COVID weight. Thank you. And I feel good. And then I can fit into all the clothes that fit me now. I don't have to go shopping. I mean, I've got 50 years worth of pants. I hold on to things, These are my fat pants. These are my medium pants. I don't know if other people have that, but I can wear the good clothes now, which is nice. And that feels good. I feel good about myself. So doing esteemable acts gives me, self-esteem. I think a big thing about, typically an addict or someone who's not healthy is a huge ego and no self-esteem. So it's I feel terrible, but I'm never going to ask anybody for help, asking for help. And you said it earlier. One of the big things that I learned in AA is when you're having a hard time, best thing to do is pray, hope the universe, usually it does. I mean, it's pretty rare that we're not taken care of, that things aren't worked out. And as I'm turning that over and letting this power take care of me, I then can reach out to my friends. That's what you said. You reach out to someone, and you don't go, "Hey, my life is this." You go, "How are you? What's going on with you? How are your kids? How is your life? How is your, life going?" And when I do that, always feel better about my situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also that applies in acting too. It's when you're feeling lost in a scene, what's the best thing you can do? Listen to somebody else.
Yeah.
So
that's what my dad always said. Acting is listening, reacting, and what you do about it, So.
Well, I really love that. And I think that this will help a lot of people feel like less alone. And like, thank you for sharing with me about your diagnosis and everything. And
of course,
it's been so fun to go down memory lane. And I hope we'll get to talk again soon, which we probably will. Maybe
I'll do another episode.
Yeah, because maybe you'll get me to be the person to watch Star Wars for the first time.
Holy tamale. But here's the thing. I would just stay away. There's 9 episodes. Jesus. And I would stay away from episode 1, 2, and 3, which were made after 4, 5, and 6. The original was 4. And the other ones, the people who know Star Wars will understand what I'm saying. The other one.
I'm like, this is so confusing. Why would they make something out of order?
Because
who starts at 4?
Because Lucas had, I mean, look, a lot of people do a couple of movies and then they'll do a prequel. You know what I mean? He did 3 movies and then he did a prequel series and then he did it after,
Gotcha.
J.J. Abrams kind of oversaw it, who I went to high school with, by the way.
Oh, wow. Well, in J.J. Abrams, I'm watching Felicity right now, and he did Felicity.
So J.J. was in my brother Peter's grade. So he was 3 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And in their play production class was a girl who Peter and J.J. had a crush on, and her name was Felicity.
Oh, wow. I love these. I love these little tidbits. They're great.
Isn't that funny?
It's so cool. Thank you so much, David. This was so fun and so insightful, and just, I really appreciate you doing this. And it's so good to see you again.
You too. This was great.
Thank you so much for being one of my only friends.
Well, thank you for having me.
What are you working on? You have Grandma for President. You have your acting class.
I did. I produced a podcast called Grandma for President. It's scripted and it's really fun, and it's on Audible and Apple and all those places. And we got Mel Brooks to do a part in it. And
amazing.
I'm the dad. I, directed and directed it with my wife, and my friend Melissa Clark, wrote it. And so that's a good thing. Check that out. It's fun for the whole family. Good listening.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. This was really fun. Thank you so much. And I will, I'm looking forward to, I don't need to, I was here. I don't need to listen to it, but you can tell me when it's out, so then I can.
I will let you know when it's out. Actually, your birthday is November 11th. Correct?
11th. Yeah.
So it quite possibly might be out on your birthday, because I'm hoping by end of October, it's all going and it'll come out weekly, and it might coincide and just end up being on your birthday that this comes out.
I would love that. That's awesome. That's exciting and very cool. All right. I will talk to you again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Great to see you.
Good seeing you.